right. And it appears we are live. What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Drew here to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Glowczewski Experience. It's going to be episode 310, continuing Bayonetta concepts and the whole Bayonetta 1 concept art book study that I've been going through here. Having a little bit of struggle with my words right now, struggling with this design just because I keep looking at it and it's like, yeah, I'm drawing it how it's drawn. I'm putting the pieces where they belong, but I hate it. Something about my execution of this just isn't working. So I'm gonna make another attempt at this. And
I'm gonna make kind of a unique video. I'm trying to figure out how I even want to start this. But today it's kind of a
I got
day. I'm about to get
Max Dude playing in the background.
Preview of one of the most anticipated games of next year, if not of the past couple of years, and it is Elden Ring. I don't want this to come across as like a bragging type of video because I'm genuinely not trying to brag about this.
Oh, yeah.
It's made me realize
let's get into
the
it.
situation that I'm in and how certain things have affected me in certain ways over the past like 10 years of content creation, 8 years of streaming, how I even view video games now. And I have been ridiculously excited about this game for a very long time. Granted, Souls games in general on my channel tend to do very well because I really enjoy the experience, and I think that a Souls game, when it first comes out and nobody knows what's going on, is one of the most magical video game experiences you can have. But I'm sitting here, I should have started possibly 5 hours ago. I have access to the game, and I just haven't been able to start it. And the reasoning behind it is something that I've mentioned a few times every time we do a stream, every once in a while, that I have this really unique issue that I don't think is relevant to many people because most people's situations with games is going to be different than my own. But I realize how my perception of video games has changed so much since being a content creator that it's had like a vast impact where this has been causing me a ridiculous amount of anxiety for no reason. I'm trying to identify the reason in this conversation for the past like 8 hours. So here we are. I am waiting to fire up Elden Ring. I think I've actually gotten to the point where I'm comfortable and everything else around me has been taken care of, and I can actually start up this thing and give you guys some first impressions on how the game is and all this kind of stuff. But this is sort of unique because we're not going to press events, where we're going to be meeting and talking to a whole bunch of people that are kind of excited about the same thing. This is like a build that we're being sent early of the network test. I think most of you will be playing next week. And it is increasingly difficult for me to enjoy games alone. Barely put any time, like a very, 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 very minute fraction of time, into any kind of video game outside of streaming. Is that I think streaming games has messed me up. At least it's messed up my perception of what video games kind of are. And to me, games now, either it's made me realize this or what, I definitely was at a point where I could enjoy games alone for a very long time. But even streaming in video games had me focus more on playing other single-player titles and not just like competitive fighting games. Even though I played something here and there, video games actually got me back into playing a bit more single-player games. You know what I mean? So this was back in like 2012. To experience to the point where jumping into something like Elden Ring without the chat there, and yes, having a chat room on Twitch with as many people as mine has, with like 10,000 plus average, and if it's a big game like Elden Ring, I can't even imagine how crazy it's going to be. But even just having people there to share that experience with you, instead of it being something that's like relatively selfish or solo, like, this network test, which we're not allowed to share with anybody for quite a few days, has left me in a pinch where I'm like, get you firing this thing up, even though I've had access to it for like a day and a half. Streaming has messed me up. Like, I need people with me to play games and actually enjoy them more. I feel like I enjoy. It's not that a lot of people are going to be saying it's like, you don't like games anymore once it became your job. I don't think it's that. I think I'm arguably even more excited for big titles and, huge entries in a series that I love, if not giant fighting games, than ever before, because it is my job. Like, I am genuinely super excited that I get to share this with a lot of people, and it is actually my employment. I don't think it's my job to like things, right? I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's my job that you have to have fun with this or else it's not going to go well, because I still play a lot of older stuff that I genuinely enjoy. But it's the fact that I'm enjoying it with a lot of people at once. Twitch, if not streaming, if not YouTube or anything, it's hard for me to play video games alone in any fashion at all. It's weird to say that because I know a lot of people, video games are like a comfort zone for you, where it's like an escape from either a super busy household or a hectic job or something like that, or it's this like comfort zone that you can essentially go to where it's just you and whatever world you're jumping into. Completely opposite now. Like, I have to be around people of collected energy to enjoy games. But I feel like I've had this issue before in general with. I remember this when I was a bit younger, when throwing in like a CD or listening to predetermined tunes like a playlist would leave me a little bit dissatisfied, weirdly enough. I feel it's the same way when you turn on the radio and you have a favorite song, and then your favorite song comes on the radio, and then that surprise, that connected energy that a lot of other people are listening to this thing that you love as well, and you're able to sort of like, just with the idea that there's a lot of other eyes and ears behind the other side, and make that connection to where the song is way more enjoyable. Once you have that, with a very wonderful chat room on Twitch that sometimes can get very backseaty, or sometimes can just be awesome when they're just there to see my reaction to things, has spoiled me so much for so long that I'm at the point right now where I'm finding it difficult to even fire up Elden Ring, which is arguably one of the biggest divisive changes to the Souls formula in a bunch of games that I really enjoy playing, including one that is one of my favorite games of all time. So I know this video might come across as a little weird to some of you guys, but it's a thing that I have to explain every once in a while, and it's going to be good to have it in a video. That streaming has actually messed me up. It's messed up my perception of games, of what sharing a collective video game experience kind of is, and it's made me realize why I wanted to keep video games a certain way for so long, and it was to emulate the arcade, because the arcade experience is naturally a social experience in one way or another. There is some sort of like direct connection happening there. And to me, that is such a critical part of games in general, regardless if it's competitive games or multiplayer games or single player games. It's almost that way for everything. To the point where I almost feel like I'm betraying a whole bunch of people, even by not having it be live, because over many years I've been offered many opportunities to play things behind closed doors. And those ways to be like, I'll just wait for the public beta and I'll just play it. And I couldn't miss this opportunity because it was a bit earlier, and the impressions will be going up a bit earlier before the beta. So I was like, you know what, I better do this. So I don't expect you guys to sympathize with what's going on here. I know this is a very weird situation, but for anyone that's like wondering what I play off stream or how much time of my life has been spent over the past 10 years to off-stream competitive fighting games or multiplayer games or anything, it's been very little. And I think it's because being a content creator, if not making YouTube videos and streaming on Twitch for so long, on what my enjoyment of games actually is, that I really need people to share it with. Anyway, because it did help me alleviate a little bit of this weird anxiety that I have, I'm going to do my best to fire up Elden Ring right now, get you guys some impressions of what's going on, and hopefully get the videos up as quickly as possible, as soon as they are possibly available on the channel, and it might be a little bit of time before the network test actually goes live. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. It's weird to talk to you directly without there being a chat here of some kind, but every once in a while I'm put into a situation that I'm kind of like perturbed, and I don't know how to approach all this until I have somewhat of a clarification of what's going on. So,
Damn.
thank you guys very much for watching, for anyone that chose to sit through this, and I'll see you next time.
Damn. That's crazy. So the main difference that I'm doing that I want to try to tackle with this design today is just raising where the cross happens up here, because normally it ends at the top of her hips, but now I want to kind of do it at the bottom of her ribs, just because it's the only way that this kind of makes sense.
And see what it's all about. Of course, real quick before that, the featured artist is Malako Smith. He does a lot of nice work, also has his own comic, which I quite enjoyed. I intended to feature him actually back in August. Don't know what happened there, but better late than never, as they say. So yeah, check out Malik's work. I'm sure he would most appreciate it. So, firstly, this was animated by Studio Last House and supervised by quite a familiar name, Masayuki Uchiyama. And as you would expect from him, his corrections are quite strong, making it very difficult to identify the other key animators. This is also directed and storyboarded by quite a big figure, Mitsu Hashimoto. Hashimoto was a regular on the series and a very competent director. Some notable episodes you will no doubt remember are Goku's transformation into a Super Saiyan 3 and Vegeta's sacrifice as well. Staff-wise in the animation department, there are actually no credits with only the supervisor being mentioned. However, with Studio Last House episodes in this era, your regular key animators up to this point would be Naotoshi Shida, Taiichiro Ohara, Hidehiko Kadota, and Akio Katada. But for whatever reason, Kadota is put back on in-betweening after 96 and continues doing so throughout Dragon Ball Z, which is rather odd. Regardless, it would be these three, Shida, Ohara, and Katada, which would handle the key animation in Last House episodes for the rest of Dragon Ball, so I'm certain they are here. This episode would also be released in June of 1988, with Last House putting out another episode the same month, episode 115, which explains why this special, animation-wise, is quite conservative.
It's still weird, man.
But now beginning off, you've got some Chinese landscape-inspired background art. Simple but nice. Goku then runs into this tiger warrior. You see a similar design used in episode 79, although both designs are based actually off the bear thief.
It's just so involved. All the layers.
After a dispute over who crossed the bridge first, the natural way to settle it is by beating children. The tiger warrior goes in for the punch. There is some rather good anticipation with how he flicks his head forward, then drawing back. Quite a smooth arc. The next couple of cuts though are pretty limited. The unknown animator just holds the key pose. Even when he's moving towards him, he sort of floats over. Still, the actual release is fine. Then there's some limited but energetic character acting, some great drawings and poses here. Thereafter, the tiger is about to fall off, and Goku's response is, I'm really wasting time here, and ask for directions. Definitely an approach I would take. Not too long after, the legendary Naotoshi Shida seems to pop up for a short scene as Goku leaps off the cliff into the water. And even with Uchiyama's corrections, going off those classic wide open hands which are still very present in his era, and with his timing as well, I'm quite confident that this is his work. You also get a little bit of uncorrected work here, as you have quite strong and solid lines, in contrast to the supervisor Uchiyama, who usually would have quite unconfident line work. And overall, it looks great and is a very nice drawing. This scene also reminds me of the other time Goku leaped off a cliff, which was also actually handled by him. Also extra note, thought it was kind of interesting how the style of the clouds from the first part randomly changes from that more cartoony look with line work to suddenly a more realistic variant once the scene begins of Goku coming over the hill. But moving on, we come to West City. And another visual note is the building style. West City would typically have very rounded shaped buildings with massive spheres and whatnot, whereas here the background director seems to have gone for more of a real world look to it for whatever reason. Anyway though, moving on, Master Roshi finds out that Krillin has no idea where they're going and is lost. And for context, they are on their way to Bulma's birthday party. Forgot to say that. But then after, there is some kid with a remote control car, some truck driver that almost commits manslaughter, which leads into a horror scene. You can see some of his familiar traits, such as the very abstract and rough styled shapes for the shading with three tones used, going side by side with some of his other work, that's quite clear. There's also the speed lines and the multiple pieces of sharply drawn debris everywhere, again quite a common feature in his work. And generally it's not uncommon for Ohara to handle scenes with vehicles. You can see it quite a bit in the series. But then the kid is scolded and a bootleg launch appears to give some wise counsel. On a serious note though, it is interesting how they copy launches designed to this degree. The hairstyle is exactly the same and the eye shape is as well. And it isn't uncommon for the supervisor to contribute character sheets for an anime exclusive character that appears first in their episode. Typically it would be more so minor ones though, but it is possible that Uchiyama could have supplied the design for this character. Still, I can't say with 100% certainty. But yeah, if you ever wondered what good launch would look like with blonde hair, here you go. But Krillin and Master Roshi ask for her assistance to find Bulma's house. Anyway, we then transition to her house, with Oolong enduring the harsh life of forced labour. The fridge also has the word Nanda on it. I thought at first this was some sort of fridge brand, but apparently when used as a standalone word, it's used to express disbelief or disappointment. Something that Oolong is certainly feeling in this moment. Then Yamcha and Ba show up with a present. Of course, the natural way to thank them is by putting them to work. We then flick back to Goku though, some nice vibrant landscapes. Pretty simple animation, it's just three drawings looped. Goku then comes in contact with Snow, almost treated as though they've never met, and this scene again seems to be
armature getting in the way.
Going off the vertical hatching on the lights, and the way he draws reflections. Ohara would usually handle a decent bulk of animation in Blast House episodes, so this isn't out of the ordinary. The writers also seem to be aware that you would have those kids who think they are Goku and can do their own thing, so this scenario was sort of a subtle way to say that hey, even if you are Goku, you can still cause accidents. Kinda clever. But moving on, we switch back to Bulma's house, and Yamcha displays his hatred for the hospitality industry. Thereafter, we soon find out that Suno has relatives...
You know what I need to do? I actually need to break down the layers, just like I did the hair on this one. How I broke this one down and started making the layers of everything, and front and back and everything like that. I don't know if I need to do the backside. Oh, well, yeah, I definitely will because of the crossing. There's a few options there, but that's what I'm gonna actually have to do. So yeah, I'll probably draw the reverse body on this side and then just start throwing options down there. Cause yeah, this is... It's like no matter how I draw this, like I feel like I'm getting it now, but man, it's still rough, man.
To have the whole color palette switch to black and red when the power pole glows. Definitely attention grabbing. Anyway, Goku saves the kid with pinpoint power pole accuracy and displays to the audience that he now understands road rules. Of course though, he still has no idea where Bulma is, but he's in luck. Then coming to the end, Goku arrives safely and proceeds to eat everyone's food. Naturally this doesn't go over well, although I love how his response is like, I strictly obeyed the traffic regulations. But then like how the scriptwriters didn't write Bulma to be like, well, I guess you're right, following traffic regulations is important, my bad, and then it like sort of ends there. Instead, Bulma just calls him out straight up, then the whole cast just begins beating him. Perfect finish. Yamcha also joins in actually, so I guess this can count as a rematch. Even Ba seems to for a brief instant, so yeah, saying it now, Goku vs Ba, let's see it happen again. But anyway, Goku isn't too bothered though, although the writers do sort of double down and go with the but make sure you obey the traffic rules, and even Roshi joins in saying, if everyone obeyed the traffic rules then no more accidents would happen. I don't think he took kangaroos into account. On the animation side though, it was interesting how wide the spacing was when they all attacked him. A little jerky when in motion, but it's nothing major. Then thereafter they all run outside. I really like the collage here, some fun poses and expressions. They then finish it off with a classic salute, then with some children doing karaoke to end us off. Wouldn't have it any other way. Now the footage is mostly from the opening mixed in with a recap of events, with quite a different version of Maka Fushigi Adventure being sung. The special though ends there. Now honestly in terms of direction for Hashimoto, this was pretty stock overall. The scene where the boy was about to be hit by the car was done well, but besides that, again nothing overly noteworthy. Artwork wise there were some nice shots, some kind of wonky stuff here and there, but
kind of wish I had that thought to do it earlier. Probably could have saved some time.
The original Dragon Ball series, and I don't disagree. But even so, it's definitely lagging behind the more sharper look the manga had moved to, which is why it was a shame Shida's work was corrected so much in this era, as he did seem to actually capture that. Still, Uchiyama's work is functional. Animation though, like I mentioned at the start, it is pretty limited, really nothing noteworthy. But with that though, brings us to the end of the Dragon Ball special you've probably never watched. So thank you for watching, and especially if you did to the end. Haven't done any animation breakdowns for a while, so that was fun. Although there was barely much animation to talk about, so I don't know if I'd describe it as that. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.
Show your body. Show your strength. Show your edge. Show your killer hair. Show yourself. Hair biology, designed to work with your hair as you age.
Episode of Nerd Soup. I'm Will Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, Nerd Soup Monkey, and featuring Nash a little bit later. Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Soup podcast. Fun day. A lot of stories to talk about, some box office, some movies that we've been watching, some recent movies. And yeah, you can listen to this podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the homes for podcasts, and follow us on social media at Nerd Soup, Bo Soup, Nerd Soup Monkey, and Anthony JQ Nash. That's his at. Yeah, we're going to start off, like I mentioned, with a movie review. We're going to talk Eternals. That'll just be me and Aaron. And then Nash is going to be joining us, like I mentioned, for The French Dispatch. So we've got two movies to review. I know you saw Spencer.
Yeah, we can talk a little Spencer. We also saw My Hero. Look at us. Seen a lot of movies.
Well, no one else saw Spencer, so we can't talk Spencer.
Well, I can just be like, oh, I saw Spencer. This is what I liked about it.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
You want a little solo?
I won't go too deep.
Okay.
People like, probably want to hear me talk more, but if no one else sees the movies, I'm the only one putting in the work, then I don't know what to say. It's disappointing for not only me, but the fans. Princess Diana,
It's definitely disappointing for the fans, because they definitely want to hear my thoughts on a movie like Spencer.
the family's been through a lot.
That and Let There Be Carnage, that's a movie you have to see. That's more your speed. But Spencer, a bit more methodical,
Me or
little
the
history.
fans?
Yeah, fans know I like history.
Ooh,
They know I'm a big
it's disrespecting me.
English monarchy.
You're saying the fans, they can only watch Venom, they're not good enough to watch
No,
Spencer?
I'm saying the fans don't expect you to watch Spencer. So it's kind of just,
Oh,
it's like you didn't watch it.
don't
I
talk
did.
down to me like that.
I was doing that. That's what you thought I was talking down to the fans. I would never do that.
Spencer's right up my alley. You kidding me?
Did you see Jackie?
That's
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, 42, right? The Jackie Robinson movie. It's a good movie.
Natalie Portman can do anything, huh? She's quite the talent.
Especially get canceled for that.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson would have gotten canceled, not Natalie Portman. There's just something different about her. They respect her intellectually. She knows that it's wrong. Scarlett doesn't. Scarlett's still trying. Why are we putting these in this fucking fantasy? Let's go to Eternals. The new Marvel movie, it's been pretty divisive, probably based on critic scores. The most divisive movie that the MCU has ever produced. Fans seem to like it way more than critics do. But I was surprised, going into it, I thought that it was going to be a movie that was a bit boring, because that's kind of what the bad MCU movies are. They're just boring. They're just misses, They have their formula, so they're never going to stray away too much. But I enjoyed this. I mean, it definitely has problems. It's a movie that needs that 2-hour, 30-minute runtime, because there's so much to get to with all these new characters, their abilities, and what they're dealing with, the philosophical implications of all their decisions of being Eternals. And it's a layered movie when it comes to its themes. There's just a lot here, and for the most part, it does work for me.
I liked it too. While I was watching the first act, or like the opening, I was like, ooh, no, this is not going to work for me. I'm probably not going to like this, but I think the movie, as it progressed, got a lot better. I think in the beginning it was just a little disjointed at times, just trying to, like you said, introduce all these new characters, and I felt like a lot of their chemistry was off. I felt like a lot of their the dynamics between the characters, something was just off in the beginning. And I think as the movie progressed and they took their time with things and developed these relationships, a lot of that felt more natural to me. And that's when I started to invest in these characters. Because at first I was just like, whoa, you're throwing a lot at me. I don't feel like these characters know each other. I don't feel like these characters have any type of relationship. But when they kind of separated them and they were doing, not to spoil too much, but in the beginning they're, getting the team back together, that old thing. And I felt like while they were doing that and picking up where they are in present day, they really got to know a lot about these characters and where they've been through the use of flashbacks. That's another thing too. I think the use of flashbacks in the beginning were very abrupt and kind of threw a lot of it off for me. But they got fewer and far between. I think more impactful as the film went on. That's when I started to really invest in the characters, and it is a very character. I think more than some other Marvel movies. It's very character driven, and it relies a lot on that. And I think as that got better, the film itself got better.
It's funny because Kit Harington didn't have much screen time in this, but I thought he ended up being the best part of it. I thought he was very delightful and funny in his limited scenes. We have all these new superheroes with their cool powers, and it's Kit Harington who comes away leaving the strongest impression, at least for me. I hope that's a character that we can see in like the Blade movie coming up. But that's, it's the love triangle at the heart of the movie between Cersei, between Dane, and Icarus.
I liked Icarus.
Of course.
I think I just like Richard Madden.
Maybe, yeah, no, there's something about that jawline.
It's fucking sharp.
It is sharp. Actually, I thought I could have gotten
It is sharp.
more out of the Icarus. I wanted more out of the Icarus character. Because I think the non-linear structure, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the way that the story unfolded, going to these different points in time and how it impacted the Eternals as humans. Because even though they aren't humans, they were created by that celestial Asheron. The movie explores the way that they connect to humanity, and the different aspects that they love about it, which goes back to their programming, but still, the way that they blossomed over 5,000 to 7,000 years. But see, Icarus was a character, they fucking call him Superman in the movie, which was pretty awesome. I always wondered if DC Comics existed in the Marvel Universe as just the regular comics. Evil Superman. So it's been done a lot. He was never intimidating to me. Because he never, and this may be like a nerdy thing, but he never had his OP moment where they demonstrate he is clearly the strongest. So if he did turn on them, it could be, oh, this man's about to massacre his family.
Right.
I thought he was good in the role. I wish we could have just got more of an intimidation factor from that character. And a better relationship between Icarus and Cersei.
Right.
I think her relationship with Dane was a lot stronger.
Right. And I guess we can get into some little bit of spoilers, so
Time in the title. Yeah.
Yeah, just skip the time codes and we'll see. Many people have said this, but when I was watching it, the Cersei, Richard Madden, Kit Harington thing, I found it to be pretty funny. I don't think I needed, because I don't think he was evil Superman. I don't think he was an evil guy.
No, I'm not saying
So,
that, but I was never convinced he would act like he could do anything about it.
I think in the beginning...
They beat the crap out of him.
Yes.
They 3-on-1 him, and he never fought back to a point where I thought,
I kind of
he
like that. Like, it
crossed
was
the line.
so much better than the rest of them. Like, they really worked as a team, and I think when you break down their individual skill sets and their powers, they all it's like building your perfect team. You need like a basketball team. You need someone to bring the ball up. You need a sharpshooter, a big man. And I feel like they all fit together for what they had to do. Not all of them were fighters. Not all of them had to rely on their strength. I think he was billed as the strongest one, but like Omni-Man and Invincible, I don't think I needed him to be just so much better than everybody else.
I don't need so much better, but there was never a point where I thought he was going to win. I liked where the story was going. I liked when they revealed that he killed Ajax. I was like, oh, this is getting good. This is getting a bit soap opera-y. And like you said, he's not an evil character. He is, he's a tragic character. His ending was super sad. I thought that was one of the more fucked up. It's on the nose, but
Flying too close to the sun.
it is what it is. I thought, I was wondering where does this character go from here?
Now they
and
say
once
that
he made the face turn, I thought, oh, they're just gonna kill him. But he kills himself. It's sad.
Now they say that he inspired the legend of Icarus.
Yeah.
So I guess he was just like, yo, I gotta do what they say.
Well,
in
they
my
said
story.
Sprite made it up.
Ah.
Yeah, it's one of the stories that she had made up.
So he's like, yeah, I guess I'll just do Sprite's ending.
Yeah, it's it relates to the real world, and I think it fits the character as well. He's the only one who can fly, and
But I didn't
it's a tough burden. I don't want to get too hung up on that. I'm just saying I wish he was a bit more intimidating.
But I think like with
Because the movie doesn't have a villain that I feel is going to succeed.
right, and
I like all the questions that they were grappling with. Should we kill the Celestial? All these other billions of planets won't be born. So it's like the philosophical dilemma here is pretty neat to watch it unfold.
yeah, and I like that aspect too, and that's why I didn't really need it to be more of like physical strength, like his physical strength versus the rest of theirs. I think just
But it's also an action movie.
true, but that's why I enjoyed the third act so much. Is it not so much that it was action packed and there was a lot going on. I felt like watching these characters deal with these philosophical dilemmas. You know, obviously they do it through the action set piece in the third act, but like they're grappling with that, and that's why they're in this conflict to begin with. So it wasn't more about the action and like who can beat who and you know how powerful one of them is. I just thought like what they were fighting for and how they're going about it was something that I really enjoyed.
When people say Superman's not interesting, this is how you make the character interesting, where he's the last one. We all agree that this is the right thing to do, but at the end of the day, since he is the strongest, he is going to decide.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's more of a nitpick, but I think a bigger problem, which would have made the movie better, is if Gemma Chan and Richard Madden had a bit more chemistry, and I don't know if that was a writing issue. Sometimes actors don't really mesh, but when you, just like I said, the scenes that she has with Dane were so much better. And I kind of like how they
Yeah, pretty
felt
hard
like on a rock, pretty uncomfortable. I like how they felt like Marissa
No,
made
she
this point on
changed the rock into like a nice little padding for her.
waterbed.
She can do that.
It's just sand.
Yeah.
How they felt. Marissa made this point on Letterboxd that it was like Shazam 2, that they feel like an adopted, dysfunctional ragtag group at times because they were just manufactured for this mission. So they're kind of just coming into their own over the span of thousands and thousands of years. So their chemistry or lack thereof, it worked for me because it felt real. Like they were a family that they don't always get along, but they do genuinely care and love each other. And that was so present throughout their interactions. Like you said, when they do put the band back together, this is, to me, it felt like a group that truly did love each other. The relationship between Gilgamesh and Athena, it is kind of platonic, but you know, he's doing it because it's natural for him, because he sees someone that he loves in need of this protection. And I thought that was very sweet.
Talk about a cop out though. You know, everyone thinks, oh, he's such a good guy, Gilgamesh, for you know trying to help Athena. He's like, yeah, but like, you also got to spend eternity with Angelina Jolie. He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing when he volunteered for that job.
Yeah.
It's not Katniss.
I'm taking that job.
Right, Richard Madden, right? You get to spend 5,000 years with Cersei. And his reason for leaving her was also heartbreaking, that he didn't want to be the one to tell her what they're really there to do, because Cersei, you know, she ends up becoming the lead and the leader of the Eternals. She was the one who loved humanity the most out of all of them. I thought she was also a good character. You know, like they all were good in their roles. I wanted more of them.
Right.
You know, it's a shame that it isn't a series, but all the moments and the scenes of their individual quirks and personality traits I thought were really well done.
Yeah, I agree, and I think like I said before, like once the story was more linear and they kind of were all getting together and you got to really see them interact after all this time, I thought like I got more out of their reminiscing or their like coming together than I did from a lot of the flashbacks in the beginning. You know, I think what was his name?
Druid?
Barry.
Druid?
Yeah.
Whoops.
I liked his character's dilemma. Like all of them had like very
Hitting
interesting
my
moments
microphone.
because of the
See if I can get
situation
this.
they were in. And I think him like that's something I felt like was actually pretty well done. Which I didn't think so in the beginning, but like now that I'm thinking about it more and more since seeing the movie, but being in a position where you can stop all this from happening, but you're just not allowed. So everything bad that happens, he puts on himself. I found that to be like an interesting wrinkle to this eternal life and having these powers. So I enjoyed that character. Potential Emperor's son, right? He was rumored.
Yeah, no, there's rumors that he may be in Doom Part 2, the Baron's nephew.
Oh,
Yeah,
whatever.
play the counterpart of Chalamet. And yeah, he was great in that role. And like you said, his dilemma, I think his felt the most personal out of all of them, even more so than Cersei, because he had this, and that was also clever, the way that they would use their powers to relate to their dilemmas. You know, like Phastos, I think that was his name, played by Brian Tyree Henry, who was so excited about helping humanity develop all these technologies, and then eventually he becomes broken by it because of what happens at Hiroshima. So he just settles down. But still, even though he turns his back on helping humanity, he still wants that family life, the husband and the kid. He didn't turn his back on loving other people. It's exactly why his husband pushes him to go back with the Eternals. He's like, I know how you're feeling. I know deep down how you truly still feel about humanity. It really was like the whole movie was embracing being human and all of our flaws and our struggles through the eyes of gods. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the overall concept, I just like seeing the gods, the Greek gods or the Roman gods or wherever you want to go, how they interact with the real world or their impact on it. Mm-hmm. So those stories I'm always naturally intrigued by those stories.
Kumail, I enjoy Kumail in this movie.
He's so funny. He's one of the best comedic performers we have today. And his valet.
Well, he's not relatable anymore because he's just fucking yoked. But I find his humor, his observation, and his just. I don't know, he's just a very likable on-screen presence.
Yes.
And
the way he whispers his jokes.
Yeah.
And like I said, his valet, the way that they were filming them walking into the ship. It's just Kumail Nanjiani narrating a homemade documentary with Angelina Jolie next to him.
Yeah, a lot of
dressed as the goddess of war.
A lot of the Marvel running gags I typically get sick of. His cameraman showing up or having a new camera every time was so fucking funny.
So funny. Yeah, it really was. It didn't get old.
And even when he kills one of the deviants, and he's like, "Did you get that?" And he's like, "I think I did."
Yeah. It's I did, sir.
In the background, that was hilarious. But yeah, now he's funny. Now he has that charm,
Where did he go? Where was he in the last fight?
Yeah, he's hanging out with Wong.
Yeah, he pulled a Wong.
Him and Wong just went out and did their own thing.
At the end of the movie, when I saw him helping Sprite move, it's where did he just cut out? It's no, you guys take care of that. I've done enough. He's I did the most to get into shape, and I'm gonna step out of the last fight.
That's kind of interesting though. Instead of picking a side, just sitting this one out.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that where it wasn't. I mean, first of all, the image of the Celestial coming out of the earth at the end is so fucking epic. I mean, and some of the landscape shots in this movie, I mean, that's why you get Chloe Zhao. That's her signature style. But those images on the beach at the end, to me, that was just so majestic. And so it's such a cool landmark now within the MCU. If you go to the Arctic or wherever it was, you're going to see the Celestial just frozen, in a catonic state, or they say it's killed.
What was the speedster? What's her name?
Makari.
Okay. Another great. I think all the characters are really were very good, and she's fast.
She is super fast. When they told her to find the Celestial. And her relationship with Durek was very sweet. I was wondering because she's the last one that they bring back into the fold, and she's just on the ship ready to go home. Classic speedster, super bored, wants to get it over with. But it was clever in the way that they all needed to play their role. Mm-hmm. It wasn't of course the Avengers come together because they were needed, but here it's it's more destiny, it's more fate.
Yes.
Even if they were manufactured by these celestial beings. And even the Deviant, man, I thought the Deviant, when he became sentient and started walking on two legs and flirting with Angelina Jolie, I was like, I don't like this guy.
When she cut him off, I think that was that was a good.
That's an epic moment.
Yeah.
How epic was she? She was just a great presence. She's such a legend.
Yeah, she is very good, and this. That's the one drawback. 'Cause I did like all the characters, but you didn't really get to spend time with a lot of them, and her having to deal with whatever, the fact that she can snap at any time, added an interesting wrinkle, and even just that
the whole memories,
which all of them really have to deal with, because that's what happens to them, because they've been doing this for eternity, and they just keep getting erased. But
she's like a 2013 iMac that's running with the fans.
Yeah,
you need a white back computer.
So that's an interesting it's not death, but it is in a lot of ways. What are you without your memories? So yeah, and Gilgamesh is that being enough, and that being so important to all of them probably, that he's dedicated his life to staying with her and making sure that they don't have to resort to that. And then with Sprite too, that's everyone's eternal, but she's stuck as a kid.
Yeah, a lot of people hate that character.
Sprite?
Yeah. I think a lot of people felt that she was an unnecessary character. I didn't. I didn't mind Sprite. Wasn't my favorite. Didn't think that she was as bad as other people said.
Still Sprite, but
It's more of a Sierra Mist guy. Yeah, the same thing.
Oh, no.
With all these characters, there's a lot of exposition, but with the exposition, obviously we're learning more about how they came to be and what they actually do. But it's it's how they feel about all this, and it's the questions, these really big questions that people ponder on rooftops, looking up at the stars, and it's done in a way through their actions. So with someone like Sprite, just making the move to go with Icarus, and it is because of how she envies her fellow Eternals that they can live as adults, and she's just going to be stuck as an adolescent. So. Some people were saying the relationship or her feelings towards Icarus were weird, but I don't think it's creepy. I think it's more like a crush. It's kind of like the kid who worships a pop star.
But it's like, all right, yeah, she's in a 14, however old she's supposed to be body, but she's been alive for thousands and thousands of years. So mentally, she's on par with all of them.
Right, but
it's just her physical body isn't up to just never developed, or not developed because they were just made that way, but.
But why are people's minds taking it to a place where it clearly doesn't even go, nor does it hint at? Yeah. It's the part that bothers me. Because it's done in such a way where it doesn't come off as something that's inappropriate. It's like, the way that people always have to take it there, to me, is sometimes problematic.
It's hard even to, not to treat, when you look like a kid, so obviously people are just going to treat you like a kid, and after thousands and thousands of years, that probably gets really fucking sick and tiring.
She's seen some things.
Look at Hospital. He's 18 years old and people treat him like a baby.
Very true.
He's probably fucking livid.
What did you think of Salma Hayek as Ajax?
I think that,
she's there to be Mrs. Exposition.
Yes.
But she's a very comforting presence. I can understand why they were so loyal to her. She does play the motherly figure very well.
And what I didn't really like the first act too much is her exposition. I felt like it was very clunky at times.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of it was delivered. It was too much to actually sit there and I think for multiple characters too, deliver good performances while giving these information dumps. And I felt like that's where a lot of the disconnect I had with that was. Like I said, a lot of that subsided as the film went on, but I think it was very apparent in those scenes, and she was more a part of those scenes than the rest of the crew in the beginning, because she kind of took a back seat for the rest of the movie.
It's a performance that, like you said, it's exposition heavy, so you're not going to get great emotional moments out of it because you're just listening to her because you need to be filled in. Mm-hmm. But it was cool to see Salma Hayek in a role like that. And a lot of people, this was spoiled for many. Harry Styles coming in at the end as Eros.
Dude, that was fucking terrible, the CGI.
I kind of like how bad the CGI was.
But
maybe they ran out of budget?
I don't know what that was.
Why not just get an actor?
That was like a cartoon in the movie. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Uncanny Valley. Because it was trying to be a real person, but it wasn't. It was clearly CGI.
Or Howard the Duck is just the duck.
Right. I'll tell you what, Harry Styles may need to go to acting school. It was a short scene, but he wasn't very impressive.
Don't say that.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. You know what? He was great. He's fantastic. He is. I know people must be confused how's he Thanos' brother, but Thanos is half eternal, half deviant.
Yeah. I also think I think the reason why Thanos was so mad all the time when he came to that Titan is
because that pretty boy's his brother.
Well, yeah, it's my brother is Harry Styles, and I'm a big purple idiot. I'm abnormally big. I can't fit in doorways. Purple. I have this weird chin. Look at Harry Styles the whole day. Picking up all my crushes.
That could be it.
I think so.
Where the hell was that man when Thanos was causing a ruckus?
Boarding school?
Also, Thanos was really throwing a wrench in the Eternals plan too. You'd think that they would have stepped in at the end. Okay, guy, you made your point here.
That's what I was
saying.
Music low. We need intelligent life.
Yeah.
We just let this man let that happen.
Okay. Well, a little misdirect from the trailer, right? The energy that they brought back.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. But that was, that was Ajax, doing the bidding of these Celestials for millions and millions of years. Like we said, at times it didn't feel like there was a wrong answer. And even Kamal Nanjiani's character sitting out at the end, he was the one who made the argument, like, hey, we may be sacrificing billions more. So that's really what stands out about the movie, is the questions and the themes that were being presented to us and the characters. The second post-credit scene features Kit Harington. We didn't see him with the sword. That's his character from the comics, the Black Knight. He's got a magical sword and other magical items. And we hear the voice of one Blade, played by Mahershala Ali. Couldn't just show him.
Was it
Yeah, it was.
confirmed?
Yeah, it was confirmed.
So I was like, who was that?
So that's what I mentioned at the top of the review. Maybe Kit. I would love to see Kit in that movie. Supporting role. That'd be awesome.
I think there's rumors of that. That's what I was wondering this whole time. I was like, wait, isn't he supposed to be like a superhero? He's just, running around.
Well, he had that line at the end. He's like, my family history is kind of weird. And then Chandra's kidnapped by a Celestial.
The odds.
You know what? It's funny that they sent them all on their way to find the other Eternals, and now they've been kidnapped. It's like, they gotta do something with these characters by the end of this movie. Because you can't just have them out there.
No, of course not.
Because they're so... I imagine eventually they'll be brought in for the Infinity War of Phase 4, where it's like, oh, Kang's unstoppable, we need Cersei, and we need...
Well, that's the thing, too, like, with how you talked about with Icarus, they were all, like, very powerful. Don't get me wrong. But, like, it wasn't to the point where I'm like, oh, they're just a problem for everybody else. Like, there's nothing, like, we haven't seen before. I think, like, Captain Marvel, Thor, like, they do a good job of... And I think some people, this could be a complaint, too, like, nerfing characters, but I think they do a good job of keeping every character, like, on relatively the same level, where it could be believable that if they got into a scuffle, like, someone can hold it on against them, or, there's not too big of a discrepancy between each individual powers. Save maybe just, like, I don't know, who sucks?
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye.
I would love to see
There's
Cersei in the...
Black Widow and Cersei. Like, obviously there's a huge in there, but, like, I think they each do their own things. But, like, to the middle tier, to the high tier, I think there's still, like, a little bit there. Where you can...
Show your age with hair biology thickening treatment.
It's just not, it's not, like, just two different ends of the spectrum, like it would be with Superman and, like, DC, the DC world.
Me and you debating a movie. You want to put, like, maybe you and Nash.
Succession was fucking great.
Oh,
This morning,
too
too.
hard. Would that bounce that mic? That was so good.
Succession?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
It's such a great show.
That scene between Greg and Tom had me fucking pissing myself.
That in the beginning of the episode when they're talking about the birds or whatever he was, I forgot what he was saying, but Greg was just like cock-a-doodle.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, all right, go out there, big bird, don't get it.
Yeah. I think the funniest thing was
It's
Greg.
same with Logan
It was
too.
great, yeah, with Logan when he's trying to strong arm him a little, and like immediately just
Well, cool, man.
gets fucking shut down.
Yeah.
It's like, Greg,
Let's call it at that. I think I'm definitely gonna have to break this one down
I couldn't tell you.
piece by piece, layer by layer, so we could actually see what's going on. It's just so difficult to show everything, no matter how many times I draw it. I do like this a little bit better. I raise these up because they usually drop all the way down to above the hips, to the shoulder. But the way that crosses, it just doesn't cross well. You know what I mean? Even when I drew it straight on, it's like, ugh.
For some reason, it streams starting Sunday.
And you know, the collar with the vest look, man, this one is struggle city still. But yeah, if I break this down piece by piece, then yeah, we should be good.
Catch up on Big Mouth.
So
What do I watch live? Dexter?
yeah, man, let's that's gonna be it for this video. And tomorrow I'll begin breaking it down little by little, layer by layer. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. Maybe if I just do these pieces, so this will be all, this will be one layer, this will be another layer, and then if there is another layer that has to happen, you know, just run it down the side here, and then I could draw the reverse the reverse side of this one and these 4 squares down here, something like that. I don't know. Trying to figure it out. Spending a lot more time than I thought I would on this one. But yeah, it's funny how the ones I dislike, I kind of have to break down more, because I don't want to just say, oh, I hate it and move on. You know what I mean? I want to,
Let me guess.
I don't know, make it so that it's something I can live with. Make it so that I can like it. So that anytime I revisit this page, I can, you know, like the work that went into it. You know. So yeah, man. Let's But that's gonna be it for this one. I do like how this one came out, though. I mean, as far as like raising that was definitely the right call. But yeah, definitely still gonna have to do a little bit more to try to understand this fit a little bit more. So yeah, let's I'll do that tomorrow, man. So thank you for watching. I'm G Mr. Drew at G Mr. Drew on all socials. Follow, like, and subscribe. All those links are in my bio, along with my website, gmrdrew.art. Check it out. Hit me up through there if you want. And yeah, man, check me out on Fiverr, Patreon, anything like that if you want commissions or anything like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. Love.